Hi everyone and welcome to Web is Step Tutorials. This is Ahmed Fakhr and this tutorial about how to integrate Geolocation API with Google Maps and Codeigniter. In this tutorial you will learn many things. First, to find your location with Geolocation API. Then to integrate geolocation with Google Maps to display your location on the map. After this, you will find nearest or closest locations to your location based on Mysql query. The data returned was displayed on the Google Maps by markers dynamically. Every marker will have an info window to display the user information. If you pick up on the marker, you will pick up the latitude and longitude from the marker and send it to the form input, or you can use it to make an ajax request. That's what you will learn in this tutorial and more. So follow me step by step. First step is to go to the bottom of this article and download from this link. You will go to this site and download repository like this. After downloading, go to your local host. I am setup example. Go to htdocs and extract here. Then go to your database and create demo database. Open with your editor the project here and go to tables directory, import these three tables. After importing, you will see CI provider table, CI services table, and the default table CI sessions. After importing the database, the next step is to going to the project URL. Localhost Codeigniter -nearest markers -map. When you open this URL, you will find this message. This message coming from Geolocation API, which take the permission from you to find your location by geolocation. If you click allow like this, it will take your latitude and longitude and pass it into this map. Here is your location. This is my location right now. And around this location, you will find this circle. The circle is about 30 kilometers around my location. And when you choose your service type, service 1, and go to the bottom and click show closest providers, you will see this message: closest providers, available 2 providers, and you'll see these markers on the map. Close this info window and you will see Ahmed and Fakhr. Let's open the console to see what happened in the background. If you open this form, you will find let hidden input with the value. This is my latitude and longitude value. The geolocation pass these values here. If I clicked on Ahmed, you see the provider ID will be 1. It will pass the provider ID when I click on the marker to the provider ID hidden input. If I click the next marker, see what happened? It will change the value in the provider ID input. This is our application. Let's see what happened behind the scene. First step, go to controllers, services, controller. We here load the model in the constructor, and we have 3 functions. The first is the index to load POC service when you open services controller like this. It will redirect you to POC service function. In the POC service function, we load this view. From content directory, you will see POC service. And the closest locations, this function will receive ajax requests and return the closest providers. But before going to this function, let's open the view and understand what happened. In the view, you will see this form. The first selector to select the services. Every service has an ID, service 1 and service 2. If you open this table, service 1 and service 2, okay, then we have this div to display the providers counters, like this. When you close show closest to providers, it will fill this div like this, available to providers. It will fill this div by using ajax. Then we have this div to display map. We have inputs, provider ID, lat ID, lang ID, and the bottom. All these inputs related by ID with these variables in JavaScript. We have a latitude to detect this input by ID, also longitude, also info, and the service ID and the provider ID. We have a kilometers. The default will be 30 kilometers. The circle variable, which used to draw a circle, map to draw a map, map options, markers, save all markers, and info window, which will create the info window like this, the default info window, The first function will be initialize the function initialize. How to do this? If you go to the bottom, you will see Google Maps event add DOM listener when window load, please load initialize function. We pass the function to this listener. Okay, and after this script, you should load Google Map link with your key. Here I pass my key. You will change this key with your API key, and we call back initialize function. The first thing we do in this function to set up the map, and to do this we pass the map ID to detect this map. This is the first parameter, and the second parameter with map options. So we have two parameters. The first, which tell Google to insert the map into this div by catching the ID for the div. The second is the map options. Map options have these parameters: the zoom, the second map option to tell the map to display the default latitude and longitude, and this will happen if the user block using geolocation, like this. Let's clear the tracking location and refresh. Yes, this is the default location. If I click block, it will display this location, and the error will displayed on this location. Okay, the second line to display info window. We have info window in the two situations: if the user click allow or the user click block. We will see this info window with the success message or the error message. Then go to the HTML5 geolocation API. This code is related to the geolocation API. It will tell the browser to detect the current position for the user and send it to these variables. The position variable will have a latitude and longitude, and also we pass the latitude and longitude and the info to these variables. If you see, this is the variable latitude, and this is the longitude variable, and this is the info div. We pass all these information to these variables. Then we set the current position to the map and create info window with here is your location. So when you load and click allow, these inputs will filled like you see here. You fill these inputs and set the position like this. Set the position on the map. You see this message in the info window like this. After this, you pass the info window position to the map to set your location in the center of the map. Here is the center of the map. Then draw the circle. Let's see what happened in the draw circle. We pause the map option and then pause the map and the position and the kilometers variable. In the draw circle, this function, we have these options, populations options, with the color of the circle and the opacity for the circle and the weight for the circle. Then we pause the map and the position, and this mass calculation to create the circle with around 30 kilometers. Then pass these options to the circle, this function to handle the error if the user block the geolocation API, and this to handle if the browser doesn't support geolocation. We have seen this message: user has denied location detection, or the browser doesn't support geolocation. So what's next? Close this function to make it more readable. After initialize and draw the circle, the next is when you click on this button, show closest providers. When you click on show closest providers, you will fire related location ajax function with the event on click. This function have an ajax request. It will send the request to the closest locations function in the services controller. Here it will send data variable which catch the latitude value, longitude value, service value. If you open, you will see the latitude value, longitude value, and you will see the selected value for the service type. After sending, if the request is succeed, it will return the data. We pause the data to add markers. But before going to add markers, let's see what happened in the closest locations function. We will decode the request, split it in the 3 objects: LAN, LAT, service ID, and pass to get closest locations. This function in the services model. Let's go to get closest locations function in the model. Here we select the full name for the user, full name Ahmed and Fakhr. Then concatenate the user ID with service description, user ID, service description, and we do this. Why? We do this to show the description and click more. If you click on this marker, you will notice the name, the description, and the link with the user ID. See here, the link with the user ID. Okay, then we create the icon. This is the green icon on the marker. You can put any image, and we return the position to center the circle in the center of the map. And this line is about Haversine formula. Haversine formula is the way or algorithm to detect the nearest location in Mysql by using latitude and longitude. We point to Haversine formula here. You can go to this link and read about it if you need more details. But in shortcut, this to detect the nearest locations to the latitude and longitude. If you have a latitude and longitude to your location, you can pass to this algorithm or formula to find the nearest locations. After calculating the distance, we will pass this distance to having to filter the nearest about 30 kilometers only to our location. Then get the user ID. After get all this data, we pass the result to providers and create an array, loop through it, and this to make the link. Then index providers will pass to JSON encode to encode this result. After returning this data, we will pass this data to add markers. After passing the data to add markers, here we display how many closest providers are available. We pass it to the div which has info ID with data links, and then we will loop through this data, and here we create the marker. We pass the position and the map, the icon come from here. This is the icon, okay? Then the address, the title. If you see here, this is the title. Then the HTML, and push all these markers to the map. Here we create an event listener when click the marker. If you click the marker, what happened? Okay, it will return the marker info to the info window like this, to see this info window. Then it will pass the provider ID to this variable here. and this will return the ID in the hidden input. Okay, here pass the ID like you see, then it will open the info marker. Info marker closed like this. When you click, it will open the info marker. Then this is the most important part, because it will tell the map to put all markers inside the circle, so you will see all results and display it in the center without calling this function fitBounds and set this circle getBounds. You may not see your location or markers in the center. We need to see all markers inside this circle and also your location inside this circle. I hope you understand all these options, and if you want to ask any question, I am ready to answer. Don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to click like, and thank you for watching.